HR-approved Scrum.
Welcome to your mandatory compliance training session. Down in the mud and the metal studs of a rugby pitch, the physical collisions appear entirely unscripted. However, this activity is heavily regulated. The formal sequence we are about to examine is triggered solely by an administrative directive citing a minor technical handling infraction. The official responsible for citing this infraction is the arbitrator, commonly recognized on the field as the referee. The instant the arbitrator blows the whistle, 16 contracted athletic entities are required to divide into two distinct opposing ASYM syndicates. Their collective objective is to execute a highly volatile, head-first structural collision that will generate immense compressive force. Mastering this administrative protocol is the only way an athletic syndicate can execute these structural mergers while actively avoiding catastrophic cervical liability. To mitigate this liability, both syndicates must strictly adhere to the phase-based engagement protocol. This framework operates on a three-tier verbal command sequence. Step 1 is the crouch command. Entities must lower their centers of gravity by explicitly flexing their coxifemoral and tibiofemoral joints. This chart tracks the resulting biomechanical alignment. The goal here is to ensure their respective spinal columns remain perfectly locked to a horizontal vector along the longitudinal axis. Step 2 is bind. During this phase, front row entities are mandated to establish a firm, non-consensual grasp upon the external fabric of their direct opponent's jersey. This grasp operates under strict boundaries. Utilizing an opponent's arm or collar to manipulate their cervical angle constitutes an actionable tort. The final command is set. Both syndicates immediately initiate explosive forward kinetic propulsion, launching the physical engagement. The two sides finalize the structural merger by interlocking their craniums in an alternating geometric pattern, creating the central space known as the tunnel. Strict step-by-step adherence to these three directives guarantees structural integrity, preventing an immediate legal forfeiture by either syndicate. Once the physical structure is fully engaged, your responsibility as a viewer shifts to continually auditing the opposing syndicate for illicit actions. The first maneuver to watch for is the prohibition of asymmetric orbital rotation, commonly referred to on the field as wheeling. This schematic maps the legal boundaries of rotation. No syndicate is permitted to apply an unauthorized rotational vector that pushes the 16-body structure past an angle of 90 degrees relative to the touchline. Next is subsection A, the Axial Collapse prohibition. Front row entities are strictly barred from intentionally dropping their body weights to force the entire upper torso into the turf. Subsection B covers the bore-in injunction. Props must drive their energy directly parallel to the touchline. Angling a cranium inward to deliberately compress the opposing hooker's cervical vertebrae is treated as a malicious act. Then we have subsection C, the manual foot fault. This legally restricts the halfback, requiring them to introduce the ball exclusively along the precise middle line of the tunnel. Once inside, the hookers must use solely their lower extremities to extract the ball posteriorly. Any manual hand manipulation inside the tunnel is explicitly illegal. Identifying these four specific physical anomalies is the prerequisite for proving a corporate breach, thereby forcing a forfeiture and securing a penalty kick. To translate these physical violations into board-level consequences, we map them using the corporate legal penalty matrix. This matrix illustrates direct corporate equivalence. Asymmetric wheeling exceeding 90 degrees maps to hostile takeover. Dropping weight to force an axial collapse correlates with fraudulent bankruptcy. The bore-in injunction is classified as workplace assault. And utilizing manual hands inside the tunnel falls under embezzlement. Internalizing this exact matrix allows you to abandon basic sports commentary entirely and instead diagnose the precise corporate severity of any Scrum penalty. Assuming the syndicates successfully execute the legal framework and avoid these infractions, they are clear to proceed with the safe posterior extraction of the ball. You have now successfully completed the mandatory phase-based engagement compliance training. As you can see, these strict corporate statutes governing athletic entity mergers have a long, heavily documented historical precedent. This establishes the foundation for next week's mandatory seminar, where we will apply the semantic legalese to the aerial laws governing the lineout and lifting pods. Those specific aerial extraction maneuvers introduce significantly higher degrees of vertical liability and physical complexity. Until then, you are fully certified to formally critique the Tight 5 from your living room, bridging the gap between brutal athletic collision and corporate statutory oversight.
Directly to white-collar crime.